friends, this is Jazz, finally bringing you another video game review. Honestly, I have a few reviews in the works, and I don't know which one will be out first, pretty much, but this review is going to be about, yes, Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life. Now, I'm going to try not to make this so long. Will this say I'm going to have to redo my Pokemon Scarlet and Violet review because it was so dang long and I haven't even finished the DLC, so I might wait to do that later. So that definitely won't be coming out next. But anyway, you've heard me rave about this game and rant about this game. I kind of gave my opinions on a lot of those, videos, a lot of those sections. But long story short, it's a really good game, guys. It has all the charm of the original with some quality of life features, pretty much. Okay, guys, I swear this isn't going to be like a 2-3 minute video. It will be longer than that. I'm just gathering my senses. As I don't know if you guys know this, but a lot of my videos I do on the fly. I don't script them. For one, that's hard for me to do, so I do apologize for that too. So if I'm over the place, but I just find that also is part of my charm. We'll just put it this way. We talk about the visuals and the graphics. They're really well done. An improvement in a set. Well, how do I put it? An improvement in a sense over the original, but there is something about the original's graphics that also is charming, right? So if I were to give a point, they'd probably be tied to me, the graphics from the original to the remake. There are some things that are done better in the remake when it comes to the visuals of it, but just to me, the characters, how do I put it? In the original, the characters looked almost real in a way. Even though you knew they weren't real, they looked realistic in a way. Where in the remake, they're almost like cartoony and charmy, if you know what I mean. They both have their own charm to it. I love cartoony stuff, so I suppose I do like the new one a little better that way, but still having a realistic feel and look to it can be really nice too. The music, the audio, how do I put it? It was really well done, but to me, after a while, forgettable. It's something that a lot of the time I turned the volume off because I've heard it before. I just want to play the actual game. So, guys, it isn't bad audio at all. Trust me. One thing about me with my ASD and ADD trait, again, I keep reminding for those who are new, I'm not saying I have autism or ADD, but a lot of people, even the ones that I worked with in my work programs, that I have significant traits, but that's what they do now. They say, okay, they look at what traits you have rather than give you a label in a way. But, okay, what was my point of that? Okay, sensory. Sometimes audio is my biggest, music noise is my biggest issue. And we'll just say that the music and the audio would not be horrifying to me. It's good in that way, but at the same time, I respond the same way in a sensory thing in a positive way. If I hear something that is really, catchy or really grabs me, then I'll remember it and always look forward to listening to it. And in this case, it was just not bad, not good. They had some good scores, but it just wasn't. Well, let's say, when it comes to the visuals, I remembered them a lot. When it comes to the audio, not so much. So, a little point against that, but not a complete, turnout, So, guys, I'm trying to think now, where I talked about the two things that probably had the least for me to say, first. So, the characterization and story. Yes, I'm separating that from the gameplay. You know what? They were memorable enough, right? Like, there were some characters that I really loved, like old Nina, Daryl. I didn't remember Gallon was his name in the original, but I'll just call him Gallon for simplicity's sake. He was memorable enough, but sorry, not as much as Nina. And I feel so bad I missed a really good cutscene of hers, which was my own fault for not paying as much of attention. You see, guys, with me, something has to be really interesting for me to focus on. Characters have to really be gripping for me to pay attention. So, for me, often that's a problem. A lot of games that don't have that problem with me. And I'm not saying that this game has no character. They have a good amount of character. They have more character than the characters grip me more than the music and audio did, right? And like, I don't know how to say it. Well, they say my brain races a lot, and again, this is probably a me thing. Because the time I did focus on this game to the characters, it was great. I was pulled into it. I related to their stories, but it's funny. It has this weird balance in this section. There's some characters that are very memorable, again, like Nina and Daryl, and then there's characters that you kind of forget. Like, Lumina, unless you're romancing her. Yes, I'm sorry, but just to me, there's a few characters there, but I suppose nothing can be 100% perfect. Like, in the story, it's really gripping, actually. You take over your father's farm at the very beginning of it, and you just try to find your mate out of 8 bachelors. And guess what? You could marry the same sex. I'm sorry, guys. This is a big thing, you know, because in the original, you had to marry the partner of the opposite sex. Now, does this apply to me so much? No. But I am still glad that those in the I'll just say the community. I'm sorry, but I can't remember every single letter. But, you know, that they can feel comfortable playing the game, right? I know individuals who are in the community and who probably would love to marry the sex of their choice. And for those individuals, I just feel absolutely thrilled for. I mean, yes, I know it was done in games like Stardew Valley, but this series so far has had issues with that until recently. I believe the most recent game, maybe both Pioneers of Olive Town and Friends of Mineral Town didn't have this issue. I think you could marry the same sex. I know you could in Friends of Mineral Town, but I know the ones prior to that, the Switch library, you had to marry the opposite gender. Yeah, yes, you did. So it's a good step ahead for this series to do that. But anyway, you had to marry your spouse. This had to happen in the first year, by the way, which can be stressful, but not really, because they'll assign you someone if you don't fully woo someone or decide on someone. But you can have a game over if you decide, yeah, no, it's not for me, bye. But then again, there's no point in that. So it's easy to get married, but if you want to really enjoy the game, you want to try to woo your own choice and not just wait and focus on. That's the thing. One good thing about this game, they focus so much. They make you focus on relationships in a way, which again, it helps you learn about the characters, because there's certain items you can only get by befriending people. There's certain people you want to befriend because your child is the biggest influence in this game. You need to raise your child from chapter 2 to chapter 6. And you have to do different things to decide what path they're going to go, right? Whether they're going to work on the farm, going to be a farmer like you, or a scholar, or athlete, or artist. You know, you influence them by showing them items, befriending certain people, like giving them certain attention as a baby, which is important to do. Snuggle them a lot, bond with them when they're in their toddler stage. And the game becomes focused, your child becomes the focus in the game year 2 up, right? So even your spouse has different attributes that help towards your child. So all this matters, right? So the story is really gripping. The idea of the story is really gripping. But the thing is, after a first few years, that story, comes in the back burner, right? You know what the end game is, but there's not continuous story going on. I mean, in some ways that's good. It's a free range in a way, but at the same time, you kind of lose interest, which again, I'm coming to in a point. All right, let's go to the gameplay, which is where I'm bringing up the point I just mentioned. Guys, the first 3, maybe 4 chapters, great. You're building up your farm, you're unlocking facilities, you're befriending people, you're upgrading your tools, you have so much to do, and I say 4th year lightly. 3.5 years is the most accurate, description of how long it takes to do everything. I mean, I finished it about 3.5 to 4 chapters. And after that, it felt almost like a slog. And what makes it worse is that you have so little new things to do, but by the time you're in your 3rd to 4th chapter or year, you pretty much have so much chores. So through each day, you have to do the same things. You have so many animals to tend to, so many crops to tend to, that not only is it boring because you got the main stuff done, like you have nothing new to look forward to, but you're just slogging each day. Because the end goal is the 6th chapter, like the last day of the 6th year, right? So the first part of the game, like the first 3 or 4 years, is again exhilarating. You have to unlock the facilities, you're building up your animal empire, upgrading everything, and it's great, right? You feel accomplished. But by the end, you have so little new to do, but so much overwhelmingly difficult chores that you have to repeat every day, mind you, just to get to the next day and do it all over again. I know, it seems like I am ranting again so much on this game for something I say that it's really good. And I stand by it and I don't. I mean, in the end, was it all worth it? Yes and no. Okay. Alright, guys, the gameplay of it. Okay, before I go to this, I should backtrack a little bit. The mechanics in general are better than the original. The quality of life is better than the original. You can upgrade your tools in a proficient way. You can actually water more squares, or you can get double the wool once it's to top, which is blessed, by the way. You could milk all your cows at once by the end of it. The quality of life improvements have drastically helped, I will admit. And guys, I will never ever beat the original game, because all this fun stuff I was just saying about this game, how long and tedious it was. The other game is 10 times, double, 2-3 times worse. Yeah, that didn't really go out as way as I said. I just didn't know what amount to add to it. Because each chapter, which again there's 6, is worth 2 years at minimum to, 1 year at minimum at the beginning, but 2 years after that at minimum to 3 or 4 years max. Yeah. And I mean full game years, 40 days. Which again is the equivalent of better than 1 month in some farm games. But when you when you have all this stuff to do, and then you have very little to do, that can be very, very stressing. I've never gotten past the 2nd chapter in the original, and I never will. I'm sorry, guys, but that is just way too much for me. I couldn't do it, which is why I'm glad this game came out, because it gave me the chance to actually enjoy the story without being as stressed as I would have been with the original. Also, with it being a console game, the original, that would have been even worse for me. Because I know I say that while I'm doing games on the computer as well, but I don't know why I feel more stressed playing on a TV console over a computer. I don't know why, that's just the way it is. Or an even better handheld game, right, which was what this was. But I'll admit, the quality of life features have improved it a lot. Animals don't die, which, okay, I would give a little bit of a negative for it too. It's great for people who get stressed when that happens, which I am mostly, but for those who loved the realism of the other game, that is taking points away, because you don't have to worry about losing animals. I mean, I suppose that's good and bad, because, like, there's no point of... Okay, I know I'm saying it's bad that animals don't die. That sounds so wrong and morbid, but it's unrealistic. You have to be so much more vigilant, in that other game, to make sure they don't die, right? Where in this one, their quality will drop, which again isn't great either, but you're just like, oh well, I'll just get a little less quality. And by the end of the game, guys, that does not even matter. I don't know why I kept tending to my animals, because I had more than enough money to keep me going. Quality means more money. And really, at least in the other game, you would have to continue for your animals wouldn't croak. So see, they take away a purpose by not killing off the animals. Alright, guys. That was is it for the gameplay. I mean, there were festivals, but they weren't really memorable. Like, there weren't any interactive activities. Of course, you would have to, bring a dish for certain festivals and an ingredient, but there was no real activities, and they repeat the same thing every year, minus having your kid there occasionally. So after the first couple of years, it's just not really worth even attending them. I've skipped a few and I wasn't upset about it, except for the last year, because it was going to be my last year. But alright, guys, in general, was all of this stress that I went through worth it? Yes and no. It was successful in the matter of actually getting the thing done. No, because you flip it die in the end. Okay, again, guys, I knew this was gonna happen. Even in the original, that's how it happened. But your cows, your dog and cat live to be immortal. You die at what, 55, 65? I don't know. I mean, like I said in my last video on this topic, did the harvest goddess sneak out of her pond and say, these animals aren't gonna die? Oh yeah, you're gonna have an early death. Okay. I know I always crowed on how Lumina's, she was memorable enough too. Her grandmother lived older than me, but really, she's a lot less of a problem than your animals. It's almost insulting you go before your animals. That's not the way the circle of life works, guys. Animals don't live forever and humans just die. So, humans do just die, right? All the animals, all the, species are supposed to die at some point. And, I'm sorry, I have a hard time getting over that. Even in the original, I'd have a hard time getting over that. It would be okay if the animals could have died. Your dog could have died, and he died within like a couple of the chapters, 10, 20 years. No. Okay, guys, animal lovers, trust me, I'd be heartbroken if either of my pets died, which I know is going to happen someday. I'd be upset by that. I'm upset when animals die, yes. But I'm the type of person in that way that if things are going to be somewhat realistic, they gotta be realistic. I mean, I suppose that having all those harvest sprites aren't so realistic either. And maybe that explains it. But if animals are gonna live so darn long, why can't they do that with humans? Okay, again, Ramona. But even poor Nina, one of my favorite characters that I didn't talk to as much as I should have, she died in the second chapter, leaving poor Galen all alone. And if you don't befriend him, well, in the first year, good luck, because you're pretty much locked out of fully befriending him if you don't do it in the first year, because he's so depressed by her passing. But if you befriend her, he'll be more open to you and more, not happy, but it makes a difference. That's one area that's different, that makes a difference. You know, where there's some people, how do I put it? Like, you know, when people make choices in games but they don't really matter. This kind of feels the opposite. That if you choose just to ignore Galen, even if you befriend Nina, you're locked out of his friendship and getting the blessed fishing rod, which, guys, a little tidbit, if you can, which I know is hard at the beginning. That's the thing, at the beginning you have to do so much to keep up, which is another, it's a little unbalanced, but try to fish as much as you can, please. You need 500 fish in total to get the gold fishing rod, which you need to unlock the quest for the blessed fishing rod, and you need to be max friendship with Galen. So, but guess what, guys? I actually did it. I got the blessed fishing rod, I got the golden axe, the legendary sword, and the bottle from your child, you know, in the message in a bottle. I somehow got all of them unintentionally. Guys, I kind of knew about it, but I was not doing it at the time. I was just fishing, you know, testing out my blessed fishing rod, and I'm like, oh, right, that's a thing. I thought, can I get something? I thought there was another one. Eventually, I got the legendary sword. And the message in the bottle came shortly after, which was so great. It made me feel more accomplished beating this game. So, it's one of those games that either at the beginning it's a ride, near most of the other, year 3.5 to 4 and on, is a slog. But in the last few days of the game, it's a ride again. It's a trip. You have these memories. You know, maybe it's the euphoria of being nearly done, but you enjoy it. You go to the bar, have a drink. You know, you fish more. You just feel in such a good place. Just for you to die. Okay, in general, guys, this is getting a little long. Again, a great game with those flaws in hand. I would recommend it, guys. I would recommend it with you keeping in mind what I just said. If you're the type of person that enjoys that type of stuff and doesn't mind that lag after a while, pick it up. It is a great installment to the farming games in general. So, guys, I'm going to give this game about a 7.5 out of 10. Because I do want to take some points from it for those reasons, like, alone. But it's a near perfect game in my opinion. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel and like what you see, please subscribe. It helps this channel a lot. And don't forget to hit the bell notification so you know when new videos are coming out. And I'll see you guys in my next video.